these risks actually depict the risks for the next decade. They have identified those, well, global business executives and leaders. They have acknowledged that the main thing for this year and for the coming years, I believe, is that we come to real systems of cooperation.
As somebody in a position of leadership in an organization, how do you instill a culture that drives innovation, that keeps you significant and relevant? But it's also the becoming, the embodying of this new forward-thinking mindset that is going to allow sustainability, because it's not just a series of SOPs, standard operating procedures. You've also got to have the mentality to reinforce this philosophy. And that's a big component of what we will be sharing with our audience. How do we get into the right mindset to enable the framework to really function as it should? In this online program, we will show you the broader picture by inspiring you to
think beyond the broader picture.
2, we will trigger you to think beyond the obvious.
3, we will ignite the imaginative and resilient power of your inner child.
4, we will spur your creativity.
5, identify and execute on your purpose-driven DNA to create meaningful, value-driven economics in a sustainable context that really add value to the society of what can we do, what can be done, how can value be generated.
I think that's a key component about what we are going to share, is that these will be applicable tools that you can use real time in your workspace scenario. We will give you insight on how you can adapt that knowledge and wisdom to your industry. And we'll make it very interactive, which means people can ask questions. They can ask us to elaborate on a certain topic. It's all about value creation.
Talking about risks here, the sheet we see in front of us, it relates to all these kinds of risks. You know, the interesting thing of it is that your expertise that aligns with my experience is also actually a metaphor to say everything is interconnected.
Our story, I think, is very appropriate, because before we really dive into sharing our 5 blocks with our audience, we were school friends, 1987 maybe, back in Belgium.
Right. Yeah.
And we both went on these very different journeys around the world. We've accumulated over 40 years of wealth and experience in different fields. Here we are collaborating, combining that experience, that knowledge, that wisdom to provide value to some of the people who are going to be attending.
And I recall that the first time we were actually having that call after more than 30 years, do you remember that you said to me, you know, Guy, I'm actually reading a very interesting book, and you were showing the cover to me. And then I said, Vital, you have a moment, please. And then I took the book and show you exactly the same book. So out of all those books that exist out there, we were actually reading the same book at that moment.
So I got to run away with this amazing circus who, for me, totally embodied the concept of being forward thinking, of implementing different business approaches that maybe defied the norms and the standards. During the 5 years with them, I really learned about how culturally, as an organization, we have to connect with the core values, with the mission and vision statement that allows us to be relevant, significant in a changing climate. And so I've now taken those incredible lessons, repackaged them, and now I'm able to share them either in trainings, in keynotes, or in the format of books.
Why a web of risks? Well, you see all these interconnections, all these lines, and some lines are thick and other lines are merely visible. And the thick lines, for example, when you look at climate action failure and the extreme weather, you see a very thick line, meaning there's a very, very strong relationship between those two. Yes. And talking about the squares, Vital, you know, you have the smaller squares and they just evolve into the bigger squares. And the bigger a square is, the bigger the weight in the risk. 5 different types of risks that have been actually identified in the Global Risk Report at the beginning of this year of 2020. And the blue ones are economic. The green ones, of course, not surprisingly, refer to the environmental risks. The orange ones refer to the geopolitical ones. Then you have the red ones being societal and last but not least, the technological risks being the purple ones.
Hi, everybody. Please allow me to welcome my collaborative partner, Guy Cozains. He's an entrepreneur, he's an author, and an atypical economist and certified in risk management. Guy has also worked in the financial, business, and government sectors at management, executive, and advisory levels. He's been a speechwriter for CEOs and public figures. He also has experience as a trainer and public performance. Guy, what are you passionate about?
I'm passionate about a society that works for the people, about an economy that works for the people. I'm passionate about sustainability. And with everything happening right now, nowadays, with the COVID-19 crisis, next to all the other crises, I think it has become more than ever important to see and seek for models that work for the people and create value at the same time.
I love how you express that. I'm actually going to add a little bit more to your resume. It says that in your capacity as an economist, you've been appointed as a member of the COVID-19 Emergency Fund during springtime.
Vital, you are a 6-time author. You're a keynote speaker and a consultant for Fortune 100 and 500 companies. But let's go back to that authorship. What kinds of book do you write?
Great question, Guy. I've written multiple books depending on where I was in my timeline. The most recent books have been focused on my corporate and Fortune 100 and Fortune 500 companies. A book called Innovation Mindset, which is really all about how do we adapt to change? How do we become more creative in the way that we think and the way that we approach problems, which ties into a core component of what we are going to share with our audience today. Do come and join us. We look forward to seeing you in our online course. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.